Before controller design, or in other words, before controller synthesis, we have to speak about system analysis. What is the system analysis? In the case of system analysis, the model of the plant or the model of a process which we are working on is known mathematically. So there is a mathematical model for our problem. The mathematical model is usually an ordinary differential equation in this subject. The input signal is also known for this plant, and our goal is to derive the output function somehow. So we need some tools to calculate the output function, the system output. There are three main groups to do this. The first is the time domain analysis, the second is the frequency domain analysis, and finally the Laplace transform domain analysis. So these are the three main blocks which we are going to speak about in the next lecture video. About the time domain analysis. In the group of the time domain analysis, we are going to study a very important group of the ordinary differential equations, and it is what we have spoken about in the examples of the modeling block, and now we are going to call it the state space model. My good news is that we are not going to solve any ordinary differential equation by time domain analysis techniques because it's a little bit tedious, but there is another way, a simpler way for us, and it is based on the Laplace transform domain. So we will have a tool to solve ODE in a very easy way. The time domain analysis techniques are important, and the software tools are mainly based on time domain analysis techniques. There are two response functions. The first is the step response, and the second is the impulse response, which we have to define. And finally, the convolution. The frequency domain analysis block is important for us. First, we are going to study the sinusoidal response. Then we define the frequency function. And there are two plots for the frequency function. This is the Bode plot and the Nyquist plot. It will be a very, very important block for us because we are going to move in this way to PID controller system design. So one block, the PID controller, is a very, very important block of the controllers, is mainly based on the frequency domain analysis. This is why we need to study this block. And finally, the Laplace transform domain block will be important because we are going to skip the time domain analysis ODE solvers, but we need a tool to solve ordinary differential equations, and the Laplace transform domain gives us a very simple way. Here we are going to study and define the transfer function too. After system analysis, we can speak about system controller design, and as I mentioned before, the second block, the frequency domain analysis, is the basis of PID controller design. I have to mention that the time domain analysis, especially the state space model, is the other basis for the state feedback controllers. So this is the other two routes on which we are going to go to controller design. So the question is, why do we need system analysis? We need system analysis to make the basics for controller design.